أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما حرم عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل به لغير الله فمن اضطر غير باغ ولا عاد فلا إثم عليه إن الله غفور رحيم صدق الله العظيم. Today we discuss ayat number 173 of Surah Baqarah. In the previous verse, ayat number 172, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala commanded us as believers to eat from the pure halal that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has sustained us, and together with that to make shukr to Allah, to appreciate these ni'mats of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and offer thanksgiving to Allah. In this verse, ayah number 173, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala now speaks about that which is impermissible for us, that which Allah has forbid us, Allah has made haram upon us. Allah says, إِنَّمَا حَرَّمَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةِ Certainly upon you al-mayta, that is carrion, is haram upon you, forbidden upon you. Carrion is that animal which dies of a natural cause. It was not slaughtered the way a Muslim would slaughter, that is on the jugular vein and the other veins, and neither had the name of Allah Ta'ala been taken upon it. Some examples of carrion will be those animals that died of a natural death, or that animal that is killed by throttling, or there was some kind of concussion, like for example the animal fell or a stone hit the animal, and like that the animal that was killed by the horn of another animal, or some carnivore had torn and killed the animal. And in that way there are many different aspects of carrion, but basically that animal that died and the name of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala was not taken upon it. Now such an animal Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says is haram upon us. One is haram for us to eat, secondly for us to buy, and also for us to sell. All of it Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala had made haram upon us. Secondly, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says, وَالدَّمَ Dam refers to blood, and similarly that blood which comes out of the body of anything for that matter, that it flowed out of the body, all of it is haram. Haram to consume, to drink, haram to buy or to sell. وَلَحْمَ الْخِنْزِيرِ And then the flesh of a khinzir. Khinzir refers to a swine. All of it Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has made haram. Thereafter Allah says, وَمَا أُهِلَّ بِهِ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ And that animal on which the name other than Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala had been pronounced. Two aspects over here is this, that one is an animal is being slaughtered, and then the name of any idol or any god, any deity, any person, even if it be a Muslim, even if it be a pious personality, and that name of that individual has been taken on the animal at the time of slaughtering. So like how when we slaughter, we say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, in the name of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, we say in the name of whoever or whatever, then that animal becomes haram upon us. Or for that matter, an animal that has been slaughtered in the celebration of someone, then even if the name of Allah Ta'ala is taken, then also that is not permissible. Ulama have written, one is a carrion like we discussed, an animal on which Allah's name was not taken. And here a name other than Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is taken. Ulama have explained that that is more haram than a carrion also. So these are those aspects that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, or these are those different types of flesh that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has made haram upon us. And that is very brief. The fuqaha, the jurists have different aspects that they discuss with regards to all of this. فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ Now Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says that that person who is constrained, that person is constricted to need. فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ What is this restriction of need? A person whose life is in danger. Perhaps an example would be like a person who has not eaten for several days, and now he has the fear of his life is endangered, and he was unable to lay his hands on anything that is halal, not even now in that state of being endangered. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this one clause, that not before the danger of one's life, غَيْرَ بَاغٍ, without disobedience, وَلَا عَادٍ, and without transgression. Now a person can consume all of this that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made haram, or anything else that Allah ta'ala has made haram, for the existence of that individual. But number one, it must not be before the constraint or the fear of a person's life. Number two, there must be no disobedience, and the ulama have explained غَيْرَ بَاغٍ, that the person does not eat it because of taste or deriving any form of pleasure. وَلَا عَادٍ, no transgression, that a person does not eat more than is necessary. Then for that person Allah says, فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ, then there is no sin upon that person. No sin upon that person would mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not take that person to task. Allah ta'ala will not question that person. And here lies the beauty of the Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say that these haram things become halal for that individual. It will still stay haram, but what happens is when a person consumes haram, he is in the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will question that person, he has now sinned. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not make what was haram halal, but all Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala did was Allah ta'ala will overlook the sin, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive that individual. Now, here again we see the kindness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that although something has become haram by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but because of the fear of one's life, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lifts off that sin, and accountability or questioning that person is then relieved of that from Allah. Inna Allah ghafurur rahim. Certainly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ghafoor. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most forgiving. Rahim, most merciful. In that, two things. Whatever Allah has made halal, like we discussed yesterday, there is great benefit in it. The inclination towards obedience of Allah, the disinclination of sin and disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the enthusiasm to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then the acceptance from Allah, and then that has the positive impact on the morals and the akhlaq and the character of a person, then all of it gets refined because of halal. On the other hand, Allah has made these and other things haram in the Shariah for us. Allah is most Ghafurur Rahim. Allah is most merciful, most compassionate. Allah has made it haram because obviously a disinclination towards Allah's obedience. Man then distanced himself from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is that lethargy, that apathy that comes in the ibadat of the person. Sometimes there is just no desire to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now these are the things that we need to introspect, that perhaps there has been some contamination, perhaps there has been something that has gone wrong in our system, and then this haram has a negative impact insofar as our morals, our character, our akhlaq, our mannerisms are concerned. So Allah is Ghafurur Rahim in that Allah has kept these things away from us, and together with that Allah is Ghafurur Rahim, that if there is the fear of life, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has lifted away the sin from an individual. May Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka.